Overwatch 2 just dropped its Season 4 mid-season balance update, and for some reason they just decided to buff Junker Queen to god tier levels. So considering these Junker Queen changes are the only really meaty change of this update, let's dive into what they mean for her and if she is really going to dominate the meta like Reinhardt did after his buffs, or if she will just be a bit more of a consistent pick. Now the first thing to cover is why Junker Queen is even receiving these buffs in the first place. And honestly, at first I thought the same thing. I played mainly Junker Queen in Season 4 so far and have had great results using her in the first half of the season, to put it lightly. I never thought that she was bad, she just has a strict niche that she fits into with her playstyle. To work effectively, Junker Queen needs to be hitting her abilities and getting value quickly. She relies entirely on the overhealth and speed boost that she gets from commanding South to win fights. She needs to be able to run in and either get kills or force enemies to retreat before commanding South runs out, and if she isn't able to do that, then she usually just dies afterwards, because once it runs out, she's a 450 health tank that now has no movement or damage mitigation abilities available to her. Despite this, she is still able to see success because of just how strong her abilities and her primary weapon are, that she can actually reasonably get a kill or two and maybe force back a couple of other heroes on the enemy team before her 5 seconds are up. And by draining enough of the enemy team's resources, then, even without commanding South active, if the other team is down a damage hero or if they don't have as much space to work with, then Junker Queen can play safe and hold space until she gets commanding South back and can go run in again. She is a very aggressive hero that relies on being able to hit all of your abilities to get kills, or you'll get shredded once your 5 seconds of fun are up. Considering Blizzard has a very data-centered focus to balancing Overwatch 2, by looking at overbuff, since it's the closest thing that we have to being able to actually get data on hero pick rates and win rates, we can start to see why Blizzard is choosing to buff Junker Queen. At every single rank, Junker Queen has the lowest pick rate out of every single tank in the game. Yes, even below the likes of Roadhog. And even with the lowest pick rate in the game, her win rate in the metal ranks especially isn't that great. It isn't until you get to around Diamond that her win rate starts to go above 50%. In general, heroes that have a low pick rate will usually have a higher win rate, since the few people that are playing the hero are more likely to be specialized into that hero and be very good at playing them. Either that, or the only people that are playing the hero are playing them into matchups that they are very strong against. This is one of the big reasons why KarQ is considered very strong right now, because while she has the lowest pick rate in Grandmaster, people are only picking her against team compositions that she is very good against, and not picking her against team compositions that she is very bad against. So she has a extremely good win rate because of that. Now for the changes that Junker Queen got, first we have her maximum ammo being increased from 6 to 8 ammo. Her Jagged Blade projectile size has been increased from 0.15 to 0.2 meters. Her ultimate ability Rampage now deals 40 impact damage when it hits a target, and the wound damage has been decreased from 100 to 60, and her passive Adrenaline Rush has been buffed so that the healing multiplier for wound damage is increased from 1.25 times to 2 times. First, going over the Scattergun buff, it's nothing too major for Junker Queen. It will just allow her to do a bit more with her initial run-in with commanding South before she needs to fall back once it runs out and she needs to reload. I think the biggest change to her is Jagged Blade being made easier to hit. This will be very impactful, as Jagged Blade is her most important ability, aside from commanding South, as it gives Junker Queen the ability to pull enemies close to her that may be on high ground that she can't easily get to, or be too far away from her and out of range of her axe and scattergun. Jagged Blade is Junker Queen's Roadhog hook. It lets her confirm kills if she hits a squishy with it, so any more consistency for it is a pretty sizable buff for Junker Queen. Next we have the Rampage change, which is honestly just more of a side grade. The overall damage is still the exact same. The damage was only shifted away from the wound and into the impact damage because of the buff that they did to Adrenaline Rush, because inflicting a 100 damage wound with a 2 times multiplier for healing would be absolutely insane. This would be healing her for 45 health per second for every single player that she hit with her ultimate, and that's the only reason why this ultimate got some changes, is because of the buff that they gave to Adrenaline Rush. They just shifted the damage around a bit so that it would overall be the exact same. She just would not heal the extreme amount that she would if they had left the ultimate untouched. Now the buff to Adrenaline Rush is very interesting because at least in higher ranks I don't think it's as good as players might think it is, due to the anti-synergy that her passive has with Commanding Shout. As I said earlier, in higher ranks she is successful, being played very aggressively with Commanding Shout, running in and using all of her abilities to secure kills before it runs out. However, because Commanding Shout gives overhealth and doesn't increase her maximum health, her passive doesn't do anything at all until her overhealth is already gone. So a good portion of the healing from her passive is never realized because she has to take 200 damage first before she actually starts taking health damage that can be healed off with her passive. And if you take over 200 damage before you're even able to land a single ability, you're probably going to get melted anyways and lose the fight. Even with the healing buff, I don't think it's going to be enough to keep you alive if you're taking that much damage. So those are all the reasons why I don't think Junker Queen will be an up-and-coming threat like Reinhardt was and still is after his buffs. She didn't gain much additional damage, she just gained a bit more sustain both in terms of her damage and her health, making her more able to fight on without Commanding Shout active. These are buffs that seem to mainly be meant to improve her performance in the metal ranks, while trying to minimally increase her performance at the highest level where she has her niece and is performing fine. Junker Queen is just a hero whose main viable playstyle just doesn't work well in the metal ranks that much of the time. Junker Queen relies on very fast and decisive fights, and struggles in fights that last for a long time. But especially in the lower ends of the metal ranks, fights can last for a very long time where Junker Queen will just not be performing well. So this will help her sustain herself a bit and function a bit better in a longer brawl, which while is common in the metal ranks where Junker Queen is played, is not that common in higher ranks when a Junker Queen is being played. And honestly, I don't think that the 2 extra bullets and the healing boost will be enough to suddenly make Junker Queen a must-pick hero. She will still have the same weaknesses she did before the changes, but there is always the chance that if more people start picking her up, then they'll start experimenting with new team compositions focused around the Junker Queen that will make her stronger and cover up for her weaknesses. But that would be less because of the buffs giving her too much power, rather it would be because of the buffs bringing people's attention to an undervalued character, and players putting more effort into finding good synergies for them. Since I do believe that Junker Queen is a pretty undervalued hero right now. Now to finish this video off, let's just do a quick run through of all of the other balance changes and what impact I think the changes will have on the heroes that received them. For Risa, her primary got its damage increased from 12 to 13. This will not do nearly enough to her for her to start performing better. The previous change in Season 2 that made her very strong was a major range buff that increased her damage by a large amount at many different ranges. This is just a slight damage boost that's only really that effective in close range, which isn't what she needs help with. She was fine in close ranges, she just struggles to get in and to stay alive, since once she's out of abilities, she needs to be able to get to safety. Winston got his jetpack buffed so that the fall-off damage begins at 1.3 meters instead of 1 meter. This is a pretty nice change, since moving the minimum fall-off distance would mean that it won't just be easier to hit the maximum damage when landing on someone, but it also means that the damage dealt at any distance from the center of his landing will be higher, since the damage starts decreasing at a later distance. Wrecking Ball got a nerf to his adaptive shield duration, reducing its duration from 9 seconds to 7 seconds. Honestly, this is a very minor nerf, as I don't think it will come into play very often. In most situations, Wrecking Ball gets his overhealth deleted within 2 seconds of using adaptive shields, so reducing the maximum possible duration won't impact him that much. Echo got a change to her ultimate, reducing the cost of the ultimate by 25%, or reducing the ultimate generation boost she receives while transformed from 5.5 times to 4 times. Many people I've seen in the community have been marking this change as a buff, but honestly I think it may be more of a nerf than anything. In my games, I don't think I would see Echoes build one ult before being focused down, let alone being able to build up multiple ults in a single transformation. So with the ultimate generation being nerfed by a hefty amount, you're now probably going to always be Echo ulting into supports for their strong utility, since building a full ultimate as Echo within 15 seconds while you're being focused down will likely be extremely difficult. She did get her ult cost reduced by a pretty large amount though, so this new ultimate style of using transform for a bit of survivability and maybe a quick, powerful ability or two might be stronger than trying to get the ultimate, since you didn't get the ultimate that often anyways in my experience. Junkrat has also had a buff. He had the max damage on his concussion mine boosted up a bit to make his mine kills more consistent. Ana has had her biotic grenade healing decreased from 100 to 60. This is honestly a change that I liked, as biotic grenade healed a massive amount for an ability that already would also deal 60 damage and anti the target if you're under attack, especially since Ana gets boosted healing from the grenade, and then has the support passive that she starts regenerating health after not taking damage for a second. And the self-healing for the support passive does get boosted by 50% from the biotic grenade, so she really doesn't need to be instantly healing 100 health off of something like that. Baptiste also got a minor buff to his immortality field, reducing the cooldown from 25 seconds to 23 seconds. KarQ now reloads slightly sooner during her animation so that you're less likely to accidentally cancel your reload by healing. And now Wife Fleaver can no longer grip Reinhardt's balls while he's using Earth Shatter. And that's it for this video. Like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know if you think that the Junker Queen buffs may have been a bit too much, and until next time, see ya.